allowing me to speak to you this evening. And thank you for your attention on what is a very serious human crisis in our midst. I am with the SOS Street Outreach Society. And if we look at what's in a name, our name beginning with SOS stands for a crisis, a mayday, a call for help. And that's why I'm here representing the organization. Street Outreach Society tends to speak for itself. We are a street outreach organization, and we serve the chronic street homeless people in Ottawa. Our brothers and sisters who reside on the street and experience what Eugene has just spoken of every single day of their lives. Homeless shelters in Ottawa are designed to be no more than a 4-day stay for any person finding themselves in a homeless circumstance on the street. Within those 4 days, a homeless person is to be assessed and to be assigned to a home with caring, compassionate care that is suited to an individual's needs. In Ottawa, the average stay in a homeless shelter is more than 2 years, far outstripping the 4-day mandate. Our city has never taken homelessness as a core issue. It's never considered in pre-planning. Homelessness in Ottawa is always a problem to deal with after a fact. And the main fact for homelessness is a lack of affordable housing. Our 3 levels of government have failed to provide an adequate number of housing for folks that reside here and folks coming from other nations. I am hoping that 2024 was an inspiring year for all of you, and that 2025 will prove even more so. And that's the reason for tonight's presentation. Is it an interesting coincidence that brought us here? Or does God have a special mission for all of us to participate in as a ministry? And it's what I'm asking the Knights for on behalf of the SOS Street Outreach Society, is to consider us as a primary beneficiary of your efforts, your fundraising, contributions of any sort. And we'll cover that a little bit as I go on. We have a role to play in reshaping our city so that chronic homelessness on the street is abolished. This is a call to form a movement of homeless off the street into a home with the supportive care that each individual needs. The political term for chronic street homelessness is our most vulnerable population. So I refer to these individuals as our MVPs. It puts a positive spin on it. And I do believe that chronic street homelessness can be and will be solved within our time. And that is why Eugene and I spoke together at length. We were peeling potatoes at the Shepherds of Good Hope Soup Kitchen. And Eugene helped bring our organization to a higher level by being the inspiring factor and benefactor to have us registered as a not-for-profit federal incorporation. We are on our way to becoming a charitable organization that can issue receipts. The first step is to become a not-for-profit organization. There's a lot of legalities involved in that, and we finally achieved that designation on November 2nd. And after a year or two of introspection with Revenue Canada, they monitor our activities, and we will then receive a status where we can issue receipts. As Eugene noted, our society and our church doesn't do enough for people that actually live and reside on our streets. We have been involved with many other organizations, shelters, community groups involved with homelessness, and it's very clear that the chronic street homeless are a very, very unique population. There are many organizations that exist in Ottawa, but very few that serve the population, our MVPs that I'm speaking of tonight. Typically, an MVP is a person that has mental illness, physical illness, addictions to drugs or alcohol, and most often a combination of several of these factors. I'm going to speak a little bit about drug addiction. This is the reason why street homelessness is increasing. And it's not increasing bit by bit, it's exponential. A drug has been introduced to our society called fentanyl. Fentanyl is an opioid such as cocaine and heroin. And depending on which scientist you speak to, the addiction rate of fentanyl is 300 to 10,000 times more addictive than heroin or cocaine. This is an astounding number. And it is a huge reason why our homeless street population is increasing, why it's become a crisis, why it's on the front page every day. More and more people are becoming aware of addiction, but also street homelessness. A gentleman froze to death last Monday on our streets, and it takes something of that nature to wake up the public, to get people aware of what street homelessness is all about. In order to solve street homelessness, public education is by far a primary necessity, and inspiring our politically elected representatives at all levels and organizations that are dealing with society to turn their attention towards street homelessness. It's not that we need to improve things that are already being done. We actually need new approaches that haven't been tried before. One reason that homeless people remain so is that they actually refuse to accept the help that is sometimes offered to them. The reason for that is many don't know they have an ailment. Many don't know that they need help. Mental illness and the effects of the continued drug use change a person's mind and their capability to think. So they don't know that they have an issue. They could never go to an appointment. They have no means of transportation. They don't have a good concept of time. Our society often looks at our MVPs and say, well, why don't they start helping themselves? The honest truth, they are completely unable to. And that's why our street outreach began in the first place, practicing the Christian values of compassion, of care, and value of other life. It is a Christian tradition to share your time, your wealth, your talent with other people such that they have dignity. When we're out on the street and we find people overdosed, starving, freezing, and hearing arguments from folks that suggest, well, we can't help them, we can't force them into care because they have dignity and it's protected under the Charter of Rights. You can't infringe their freedom by forcing help upon them. It's also not dignified to expose the plight of these people. You'll see behind me an ongoing slideshow. It's going to show you what it's like to go on one of our outreach walks, which we do every Tuesday evening at 7:30. Any one of you, or anyone you would care to invite, is welcome to come out with us any Tuesday. As you can see by the pictures, there's a lot of giving. What we give are clothes that we beg for. What we give is food that we beg for. You'll also see that we give hope and compassion. The biggest asset that SOS Street Outreach Society has is the friendship and the trust of Ottawa's street people, of our MVPs. They trust us enough that they are beginning to allow us to transition them from the street into a home with compassionate care tailored to their unique individual needs. This is a big plus. What we are lacking are the facilities to place these people in. There is a very, very long wait list. We speak to the people on the street. We try to find out what their needs are. And as we grow, to become capable of actually putting them in centers that will accommodate them. Eugene and I have visited one such center run by the Shepherds of Good Hope here on Montreal Road. I spent last Saturday volunteering at the Oaks residence on Carling Avenue. And it's clear to us that if we had more of these centers, it would be fairly quick to remove everybody off the street and get them into some type of program, some type of home, which is really dignity for these people. We are determined to make it happen, to change the mindset of the public, to change the mindset of the established political structures that are there, and to change the mindset of the MVPs themselves. I can go through what I have as a prepared statement, but going off the cuff I think is more natural and easy. So I've spoken about what SOS is about. It was started a little over a year and a half ago by myself and a lady named Mika Spenkley, who is our treasurer of the board. We decided it was time to create a resident-led volunteer group to challenge the status quo. As Eugene can attest to, I'm not a great person for committees. I like to get out on the street, look at what's happening, and find ways to solve it. So that's what you are seeing here tonight and why I'm speaking to you. The explosion of the illicit drugs in Ottawa is mainly a result of Ontario's Attorney General informing police chiefs not to make arrests, nor their willingness to prosecute illicit drug use. And here I'm speaking of opioids. Any one of us that has walked downtown will see open opioid use on the street. Drug dealers are under no fear of arrest or retribution. So it is an industry that's in growth. It's very easy to obtain fentanyl. It's very easy to mix it with other chemicals you might find in your home, be it Drano, be it laundry detergent, dishwashing liquid. And it's very, very easy to sell. This also perpetuates increases in theft, home robberies, car robberies, break-and-enters. Those are also on the rise because the products gained through these robberies are easy to trade for fentanyl. And when someone is addicted, there is nothing they won't do to get the drug. We see lots of folks on the street, especially young women who turn to prostitution. Life on the street isn't a temporary stay. Like having a terminal disease, it is a death sentence. Life on the street usually lasts about 3 years, and people end up being carried away in usually a gray zip-up bag. I've seen it firsthand many, many times. Statistics show that in Ottawa, over the last year, 300 people have died of fentanyl overdoses. It generally goes unpublished and unspoken about. Our SOS Street Outreach has been involved in many resuscitations of overdose victims. It happens time and time again. And if you find someone in time before death takes them away, it's a fairly simple procedure to resuscitate them. So we've done this many times, and with talks like tonight, I try to educate the public on what's really happening on the street. I think the pictures behind me pretty much tell the story. We take inspiration from great thinkers worldwide. One quote that I like very much is from Margaret Mead. And she says, "Never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has." Another great thinker of our time was Charles Schulz, as you may know, the author of Charlie Brown and Peanuts. And a quote from him is, "To make a difference in someone's life, you don't have to be brilliant, rich, beautiful, or perfect. You just have to care." And that simply sums up what our group is about and what we're trying to do. Someone gave me a Christmas card. We were out on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve because they happen to be Tuesdays. We have a group of about 300 people that contribute to our outreach, many here in this room, many from this parish. One dear lady that contributes quite a bit of her time making sandwiches. She's 93 years old. She's a devout Catholic from Vanier. And she surprised me before Christmas by writing up about 300 Christmas cards, which we distributed Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. And it was almost unbelievable to see the joy